Tonight on CFTK-TV News, local temperatures aren't in fall mode yet. Cael was hit by 2 arson attacks in less than a week, and safety officials are sounding the alarms after several drownings.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Good evening, I'm Cael Maslin, and here's what's making the news in the Northwest and beyond for today. Although kids headed back to class today, it still doesn't quite feel like fall yet as temperatures have remained high in the area. A ridge of high pressure anchored over BC is bringing very high temperatures to the North Coast inland region, prompting a heat warning. Environment Canada says temperatures are very high and there's moderate risk to public health. Environment Canada and local medical health officers expect an increase in health and safety risks from heat and are advising the public to take precautions. Check on family, friends, and neighbors who are at a higher risk, particularly if they live alone, to make sure they have a cool space. Also make sure to watch for the effects of heat illness like heavy sweating, a rash, cramps, fainting, high body temperature, and the worsening of some health conditions. At the end of last week, Cael was hit by a fire on the 4400 block of Lake Elsa Avenue, only 5 days after 2 taxi buses at the same location were set on fire. The Terrace RCMP has said that both of these incidents are arson, with the first one resulting in 2 taxi buses being severely burnt before Terrace firefighters put it out, and the second one saw a cab get damaged significantly. The RCMP have obtained pictures of potential suspects in both cases, with the one in the earlier case being believed to have potentially suffered burns, and the suspect in the newer case was described as a woman with blonde or light-colored hair, black clothing, and white shoes. Anyone with information on either case is asked to call the Terrace RCMP at 250-638-7400. A new report emerged on the Kitimat RCMP's website that chronicled what they encountered on the days that led up to the end of August. One reported incident saw the police respond to a disturbance that took place at a residence in the Chaco neighborhood. 3 people were said to have gotten into some kind of altercation, and the responding officers had to defuse the situation. After emergency health services checked out one of the people, it was discovered that the person had a warrant out for their arrest, and they were taken into custody before being released with a future court date. Coming up next, we look at what recovery from addiction truly looks like. Welcome back. From the political arena to the water cooler, the toxic drug crisis and drug addiction are hotly debated issues, with everyone agreeing that more help should be available for those looking for a way out. But what happens after someone completes the difficult treatment process? In the final installment of her series, Penny Daflos looks at what recovery really means.
Whether it's a home in the sky or one with a yard, most of us take for granted that we have a safe, clean place to call home. So imagine completing months of drug treatment with nowhere to go.
Recovery does not end when you are discharged from a treatment program. That is the most vulnerable place and time for many people.
That's why there's been an increasing emphasis on supportive housing with healthcare, social workers, art programs, and sometimes meals.
We're here really to help support our tenants kind of with their day-to-day and really with their goals. And that could be anything from appointment reminders to someone's goal to get back into the workforce.
That really is such a vital step that really can help either set them off in a continued strong trajectory or unfortunately reverse many of that progress.
Some require more supervision and even relearning life skills after years living on the street.
I was a heroin addict, a crystal meth user.
And are turning their lives around thanks to those programs.
I had a lot of struggles in my time, and I made it.
Whether poor and on their own or employed with family support, recovery is a lifelong challenge.
The simplification of saying, hey, go to treatment, that'll change everything. Well, I mean, I got off drugs all the time, but what I couldn't get over was, how I viewed myself as a person, and I needed some clinical counseling to get over that.
Guy Felicella now travels the world sharing his story overcoming drug addiction and living on Vancouver's downtown east side.
There's a lot of people down here that are trying.
And points out any one of us can lend a helping hand, whether it's with a job offer or a leg up for those in recovery.
There's a tremendous amount of shame that comes with that. And we don't need to be beating up on people when they're already beating up on themselves.
BC's healthcare system has changed to accept that relapse is likely.
We absolutely are building the system so that people are welcome to come back really as many times as it takes.
Recognition that substance use disorder is a chronically relapsing condition means there's far less zero-tolerance housing. While that's generated its own controversy, advocates point out holding someone to an impossible standard isn't helpful, particularly if they've gotten their lives back on track and could be derailed by losing their home. Penny Daflos, CTV News, Vancouver.
Cooling down and trying to beat the heat can often be top of mind for many British Columbians, as long weekends like the one that just happened are spent down at the lake and the beach by many. But safety officials are sounding the alarms after several drownings throughout the province during the previous month, and they say many of them could be prevented with simple precautions. CTV's Dimitra Maragos has more.
Another drowning death on BC's shorelines. Chilliwack RCMP says on Thursday, a 22-year-old man from Burnaby was visiting Cultus Lake with friends when he drowned. When first responders arrived on the scene, they did try life-saving measures, but were unsuccessful. This is one of several drownings in the province in the last few weeks. One even happening at Jericho Beach. As of August 23rd, the Life Saving Society in British Columbia and the Yukon has recorded 32 drownings this year.
It could be you, it could be your friends, it could be your family.
77% of those drownings were male.
We actually now say between the ages of 18 and 49. That is a huge age span for men who are taking risks around the water.
They say in their experience, drowning-related deaths are
always an accident, and it's always preventable.
They added while families head to the water this weekend to make sure their little ones have their undivided attention.
It's not just, looking at the water and then looking at my phone or taking a picture through my phone. Supervision is undistracted.
Adding that for children under 5, drowning is a leading cause of death.
That's a scary, huge stat.
Oftentimes people who are drowning or who do drown, they never intended to go into the water in the first place.
That's Dr. Brandon Yao with Vancouver Coastal Health. He says if you're thinking of letting loose this long weekend,
drugs and alcohol and swimming don't mix.
Think again, stating drugs and alcohol are involved in 40% of all drowning deaths in the province. Those at the Life Saving Society say it's important to see something and say something. However, at the end of the day,
everybody needs to take care and ownership of their own safety.
Dimitra Maragos, CTV News, Vancouver.
Universities and colleges across the province are sounding the alarm as they deal with declining international student enrollment. As CTV's Isabella Zavarisi reports, they say that the burden will likely then fall on domestic students.
Post-secondary institutions are getting ready to welcome a new slate of students. But things will look a lot different this fall as colleges confront the consequences of budget cuts.
In general, it's the worst it's ever been.
Schools, including Vancouver Community College, are reeling from the fallout of the federal government's cap on international students.
We've been trying to squawk and squeak about this for 2 years, and we get very little response.
Just this year, VCC has had 3 rounds of layoffs. Dozens of faculty and administrative roles have been slashed at Langara, SFU, and Kwantlen.
We're going to see less connections with the community, less connections with industry, less partnerships, less money flowing into the institution, and less ability really to deliver the quality of education that we know that post-secondary in British Columbia should be providing.
At Kwantlen, international students pay nearly 4 times what domestic students pay.
And so every international student that doesn't come into the institution means there's less spots for Canadian students.
It's not only jobs, entire programs no longer exist.
Students are paying more and getting less. So what I mean by that is there are fewer course options. Students are having delayed graduations.
While UBC and SFU didn't provide figures, international student enrollment has declined at UVic since the caps were introduced. Those in the industry say this is a symptom of a bigger problem.
The provincial government has been not funding post-secondary properly for 25 years.
The province says it's working with institutions on strategies to manage costs and improve revenue. Those in higher education say if investments aren't made soon, there will be a ripple effect in our economy, with fewer people receiving the training they need. Isabella Zavarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
And now we take a look at both your nightly and weekly weather forecast. On the north coast tonight, expect periods of drizzle and a low at 13 degrees, with the rest of the week likely to see lots of rain and clouds too, with the high moving from 18 to 16 degrees. In the Terrace-Kitimat area, the forecast for tonight is projecting a few clouds and a low of 16 degrees. In the upcoming week will start off pretty sunny before the clouds and rain appear, and the high should bounce between 29 and 20 degrees. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, their upcoming night will be home to clear conditions and a low of 7 degrees, with their next week or so being comprised of basically nothing but sun, outside of some clouds that might appear at the end of the week, and their high is more than likely going to shift from 30 to 27 degrees. Checking out the highways now, visit Drive BC for the latest and up-to-date conditions, and as always, drive safe out there. Highway 16 has construction work, bridge maintenance, utility work, road maintenance work, paving operations, and the Usk Ferry is currently out of service due to the low river level. Highway 37 has bridge construction. Highway 37A is still dealing with falling rocks between west of Isiaden and east of Stewart and paving operations. And the Nishka Highway has some road construction work. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, the United States ended a nearly century-old exemption. Welcome back. A near century-long duty exemption used by small businesses to ship low-cost items to the United States has ended. The Trump administration has officially dropped what was known as the de minimis exemption, leaving businesses to deal with the consequences. CTV's Jeremy Sharon reports.
In small businesses across the country, there is an unfortunate new reality.
I know that I'm going to see a decline in sales to the States.
Cal Green's Ottawa-based streetwear brand Raised by Wolves is no exception.
So we've produced the apparel, they've done the shoes, and then
At least a quarter of his business comes through direct sale to American consumers or wholesalers. His product no longer exempt from duties when shipped south of the border, forcing him to make a difficult decision.
the duties, the tariffs, the brokerage fees, and the shipping is going to be included in the price for U.S. customers to be transparent. That's really all I can do at this point. As a small business, I can't afford to eat those costs.
Some of his products could still be exempt if he can prove they're CUSMA compliant, but like for thousands of other businesses, that will require more time and effort, which experts say won't always make sense.
If they want to go into the process of making sure that their goods are CUSMA compliant, that may not be worth the cost for many businesses.
It's a huge nightmare. Has been a really steep learning curve.
Last year, almost 1.4 billion packages entered America duty-free. Now the new fees will vary based on a variety of factors, including the country of origin. But some businesses say they'll avoid it altogether.
To avoid confusion and conflicts with customers, I just suspended U.S. shipping for now.
Others hopeful to keep at least some of their longtime American customers.
I don't think there's as much anyone can do about it at this point, so I just want to keep moving forward and do the best I can.
At least 25 countries have opted to suspend U.S. shipping, citing a lack of clarity around enforcement. Canada Post says it'll work with a third party to collect and send the duties directly to U.S. Customs. Jeremy Sharon, CTV News, Ottawa.
A controversial provincial order is the basis for removing hundreds of books from school libraries across Alberta in an effort to target sexually explicit content. Edmonton Public Schools was the first to release its list of more than 200 removed books, sparking backlash. CTV's Mark Villani reports.
Alberta's government is cracking down on what kids can or can't read at their school library this fall.
We are trying to take sexually explicit content out of elementary schools that is inappropriate for me to show on the television news at night.
A new ministerial order is focused on steering kindergarten to grade 12 kids away from what the UCP government considers inappropriate texts. That's prompted Edmonton Public Schools to create lists consisting of more than 200 books to remove. They feature world-renowned authors like Aldous Huxley, Margaret Atwood, even Judy Blume. The texts were narrowed into 3 categories. It includes materials with explicit content like Alice Walker's The Color Purple, books with non-explicit sexual content like 1984, along with non-sexual content, including teen favorites like The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins.
Edmonton Public is clearly doing a little vicious compliance.
Edmonton Public Schools chair says several excellent books will be removed from our shelves this fall. We encourage anyone who has a concern about a book being removed to contact the Minister of Education directly.
The real fundamental problem here is that decisions about what should end up on school library shelves needs to be left to trained educators and trained librarians.
And already authors are speaking their mind. Atwood posting sarcastically to social media for kids not to read Handmaid's Tale or else their hair will catch fire. American author Jodi Picoult, a frequent censorship target in her home country, also took issue, telling CTV book bans do not protect children, but instead remove tools to help them navigate an increasingly difficult world. Both Calgary's public and Catholic school districts confirm they will comply with the province's directive, but haven't come up with lists. Alberta's premier insists there's no provincial book ban. Her education minister says he wants to talk to the school boards about their selections.
I'm really curious to know what the province's process is going to be.
Academics say the censorship of certain texts take away the freedom for children to open their mind to new ideas.
When we see this kind of confusion resulting, I'm not surprised, but I'm certainly dismayed, and I'm deeply concerned for access to literature.
Mark Villani, CTV News, Calgary.
If you're traveling across the border, you should probably be prepared to have your cell phone searched. As CTV's Travis Fortnum reports, it's happening increasingly often.
Crossing into the U.S. has long been a Windsor-Detroit convenience, but lately some Canadians are more cautious.
I'm a frequent traveler to the United States. I haven't noticed any significant change in how officers deal with Canadians.
Immigration lawyer Eddie Kadri says what has travelers talking is the rise in device searches. U.S. Customs and Border Protection data show officers searched nearly 15,000 phones and laptops between April and July, the busiest stretch since 2018, though the agency says such searches are still rare. And it is totally within their power to ask to see your phone.
They have a tremendous amount of discretion at their disposal, and the law supports that.
Kadri says you need to decide before leaving home if you're comfortable with the type of questions and searches border agents are authorized to conduct.
It really isn't the time or place to have that at the port of entry when you're seeking entry. And certainly you can, but you can't expect it to go well for you at that point.
Some Canadians report being turned away because of politically charged posts online. CTV tech analyst Carmi Levy says you need a strategy before you cross. One option, deleting social media or messaging apps, then reinstalling them after your trip.
However, there also is the very real risk that if none of these apps are on your phone and your phone is essentially blank or bare, that might arouse suspicion when you cross the border, and that might prompt additional questions.
And deleting an app doesn't guarantee your posts or messages are gone.
It's very easy to bypass the limitations of removing your data from your phone because border officials certainly have other tools at their disposal.
Levy adds you could leave your phone at home or travel with a burner, but the best advice remains the same. Be mindful of your digital footprint.
This kind of guidance will benefit us regardless of what's happening politically at the time.
And while the legal advice is to be prepared, Kadri says don't let fear keep you from crossing.
By and large, the men and women who work at the ports of entry between Canada and the United States on the American side, they're good people just trying to do their job.
Travis Fortnum, CTV News.
And now we turn our attention to how the stock markets are looking as of today compared to the end of last week. The Canadian dollar is down 25/10 cents. The price of gold is up $76.10. Oil is up $1.58. Natural gas is the same. Aluminum is down $8. In Toronto, the TSX is up 51.17 points. The Venture Index is up 15.63. In New York, the Dow Jones is down 249.07, and NASDAQ is down 175.92. Still ahead, an archaeological discovery is turning heads. Welcome back. A startling discovery at an archaeological dig is turning heads after a smiling stone face was unearthed. Plus, a rare snail with a backward shell is searching for love. Here's CNN's Jeremy Roth with Take a Look at This.
The recent discovery of a creepy smiling stone face at an archaeological dig in Scotland left researchers themselves smiling ear to ear. According to the UHI Archaeology Institute, the fascinating find was made by a student helping out with an ongoing dig at a historical landmark site on the Scottish island of Rousey. The student was working on a trench wall when the garish, grinning face revealed itself. Officials described it as a rich red sandstone with yellow inclusions and suspect it may have originated from a nearby ancient church site. The exact date, origins, and use of the stone visage remain a mystery, but between this and an already significant haul of unearthed fragments and trinkets, it seems the team is certainly getting ahead. Okay. From a creepy stone face to a hot-footin' horse chase. Two, actually. Police in Auburn, Indiana shared video of a hot two-trot pursuit of a horse that got loose and went galloping through a residential area. WPTA reports that after a short pursuit, they were able to contain the animal and call her owner. But was this their first run-in with this fugitive filly? Nay. Turns out this exact same horse had busted loose a few days earlier and was rounded up in downtown Auburn by the same department. Finally, a snail with a unique shell is looking for love. Found in a New Zealand garden, it was discovered that this snail's shell spirals uncharacteristically to the left, where nearly all others spiral right. Who knew? The rare genetic condition also means the snail, named Ned, has reversed reproductive organs. So now the hunt is on to find another genetically freaky snail to get freaky-deaky with this uniquely shelled southpaw. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Police in Vancouver are asking for the public's help after a 81-year-old pedestrian was struck by a car early yesterday morning. They say the crash happened as the man was crossing Southeast Marine Drive near Borden Street just after 4:30 a.m. Police say despite efforts from first responders, the man died at the scene. They say the driver of the gray Audi Q3 stayed at the scene, and investigators are now asking anyone with information who may have dashcam footage of the area and around the time of the crash to come forward. Metro Vancouver Crime Stoppers are warning parents to watch for possible signs of gang recruitment and activity as students return to school this week. It said in a news release that may include noticing suspicious items such as scales, Ziploc plastic bags, unexplained money, or multiple cell phones. The release says the most common gang recruitment age is between 14 and 25. The group says it's urging both parents and students who may notice suspicious activity to call the Crime Stoppers tip line where they can report it anonymously. That's all of our news for now. From everyone here at CFTK-TV News, I'm Cael Maslin, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.